I made a mistake. Well, maybe it's not really a mistake. Back then, I really made the right choice. But now I just really want to go back to making art full-time. Just have more time for making art. But it isn't really wise, is it? 2 years ago, I gave up my big dream, my art career. And not without reason. I was sick, broke, and the biggest problem, I lost all the fun in drawing. So I threw in the towel and decided to see what else the working world had to offer. Now, 2 years later, I'm feeling much healthier. I solved my financial problems, and most importantly, the joy of creating has come back to me tenfold. I'm overflowing with creative ideas, more ideas than I have time, which now makes me wonder, should I become a full-time artist again? How wise would it actually be? To find out, I'm visiting 3 full-time makers. Even though their work is very different, we do have a lot in common. We're about the same age, we all make physical work, we're all active on YouTube, and we all live in a beautiful Utrecht in the Netherlands. I asked them everything to discover when it's the right time to go all in, how many income streams do they have, and if they ever doubt the decision that they made. In short, this video is full of valuable tips if you're also wondering whether you want to be a full-time maker. These are real conversations, so this is a different kind of video than you might be used for me. But because this is such a big part in my art journey, I would love to take you along in my research. My tip? Watch this video as it would be a podcast. Let me introduce the first maker. Stefanie is a professional skill model builder, specializing in miniatures for film, museum and theatre. She's also just started a creative hub, a beautiful space where she and other artists can set up their workspaces. But it all began with her theatre design studies.
I studied theater design, and then I figured out I had much more love for making all the small scale maquettes and everything. And I discovered there's actually a business for that. So that's what I started doing.
Do you remember a moment when you decided I want to go full-time?
I don't think there was like one moment where I decided I wanted to go full-time. This definitely happened over time. At some point I got an assignment, especially for miniatures in a museum, a design museum of Den Bosch. Yeah, and that's where I started realizing this is actually a business. I think alongside I was already trying to come up with ways to maybe like sell stuff on markets or Etsy or whatever. But eventually I think that's a lot harder way to make it as an artist. So that for me became a bit of a side hustle, I think. And this is now my main thing.
Looking back at that moment where you take the leap to go full time, was it the right moment? Would you recommend it to other mates?
No. No, I was so young. I really wished I would have taken like an extra year between my high school and my art school.
When did you start to go full time?
17.
17?
Yeah.
Did you ever got a job later?
Only in the weekends during my studies.
Okay.
Yeah, but I really wish I would have taken some time between high school and
Wow.
I don't know, it's the thing that you did, I guess.
But for me, this is amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah. So you never had this, I call it the grown-up jobs, or a job out of the art career?
Yeah, that's right. I never was on a payroll at some employer or something. But don't get me wrong, I also had like really, really rough and down times because I didn't do this. I had a lot of worries about my financial situation. But there was always this fire in me that felt like if I go do that, I might lose the track that I'm on. And I really did like the small jobs, dirty jobs at a job agency or something, like taking questionnaires in the middle of the night in a parking garage after a concert was done or something. Terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did pay the bills.
Yeah.
But I would do that for like 3 weeks. And, every time in between I had a project or something, I would do things like that.
Before we continue with Stefanie's story, I would like to introduce you to Roxy. Roxy is an artist who creates stunning oil paintings, self-portraits about expanding and taking up space. I also asked her if there was a clear moment when she decided to go full-time with her art career.
It was a very decisive moment because I went to art school for 4 years, but I studied fashion design and I knew I didn't want to go in that direction. And then I had like a side job for about a year. I worked in a vintage clothing store, but I got fired. So I was already researching the because I kind of saw like what was happening. I was already researching like how to start your business, how all the businessy side of the art career things had to go. So I was listening to podcasts and stuff. And then that moment happened, like I actually got fired and I was like, this is the moment, let's try it. And I had savings for like 3 months or so. And I figured, well, if the savings run out and I don't want to do it anymore, I can always go back to another serving job or retail job. And this is my chance. But that was 7 years ago. Yeah.
Does it feel like you were pushed into your dream?
No, because I was already preparing for it and I knew I didn't want to be in retail forever. So I was already preparing and it just happened to be that moment. Yeah.
I realized that both Roxy and Stefanie went to art school. So for them, it was a very natural path to go into the arts after graduation. Nienke, on the other hand, had, like me, a completely different degree and career before becoming an artist. Today, Nienke is not only a full-time artist, but also a true art supply nerd. She loves sharing her knowledge about art supplies as a content creator. I also asked her if she had a clear moment when she decided to go full-time.
That was definitely a clear moment for me. I had been drawing for a hobby again for a few years then. I always used to draw as a kid, like most of us do, and really started missing having that hobby next to my job. I was working as a communication and marketing advisor at a design company, so I was kind of in between the clients and the designers. And more I was the one like looking over the designer's shoulders and telling him to go like 3 pixels to the left and stuff like that. So I picked up drawing as a hobby again, and that slowly became a part-time business. For the company I was working at, they also opened a coffee bar. So I made a mural for them. I did all the chalkboards. I really started with hand lettering. Back then there was a trend. And it was also, for me, it was kind of easy to go back to creativity with something like lettering. It was kind of a low bar. So that grew into a part-time business, but then next to having my job, that became too much. So it was kind of on the verge of having a burnout when I really felt like, okay, this is the moment to go for my dream and start my own company and leave my full-time job. I was already started to work a little less, so a day less to build on my company. And I think after 2.5 years doing that next to my full-time job, I made that switch. So it was kind of forced almost having a burnout.
Yeah.
Also something that was already in the making. And I think I just needed that push to really go for that dream.
But it's interesting because you were almost in a burnout.
Yeah.
And you thought instead of going for safety, I'm going to take the jump.
Yeah, because I think everything inside of me felt, this is where my heart is, this is where my energy is. And the other job was kind of draining me. So I knew if I would have stayed in that job and had the security, I would have become sick. But I also really made that conscious choice beforehand for the first 2.5 years to really save a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I knew when I made that jump, I think back then I set aside 10,000 euros. So I knew that was kind of my safety net. And I think that the month that, I really made that choice was also the same month that I hit that goal of 10,000. So that was kind of an extra backup. Okay, this is the moment. And even if I don't get jobs for like months, I can still go on a few months. And so it was, I think everything came together.
Looking back on the moment where you take that leap to go full time, would you recommend others to do the same? Were there any mistakes that you thought, well, I never thought this beforehand? Give me your warnings.
I think, of course, when I started, I still had, I didn't have a burnout yet. I would never recommend starting your own company when you're still full in burnout mode, because then there's a lot of pressure on you. So definitely be sure that you're mentally and physically healthy again. And back at the time, I also did some freelance communication work. And that's also something that you can just ask an hourly rate. So the first year I sometimes still did those communication jobs that kind of helped me, do my creative work as well. And when I started, I already did the freelance work for 2.5 years. So I already had my clients, I already had my network. So definitely, if you still need to grow, maybe do it part-time and then make that leap before going full-time. Don't burn all the bridges yet.
Shit.
Now, it definitely helped me to first build that a foundation of your company.
Yeah.
And know, okay, I was really at that switch of if I want to make a full-time living, I need to do this full-time. I already know that I can make a part-time living out of it because I'm doing it part-time.
Yeah.
So I think that's my biggest tip. Make sure you know there's a base for what you're going to do.
Looking back on that moment of time, was it the right time? Would you recommend people to do it this way?
No, no, I would, if it's in you and you have like that spark and that discipline, definitely do it, but it doesn't really matter when. Definitely get some savings. But for me, I think it worked because I had very low living costs and I was lucky with those low living costs, but I also made sure that I didn't go higher than that. So the risk was very low. I could survive on like less than €1,000 a month, which would not be possible now. Like, I don't think for anyone. So it was just a different time, I guess, even though it's only 7 years ago. And I was also pretty young, so I didn't really have that much responsibility. And that really helped with how long I could last with those savings. Yeah. So I think I wouldn't recommend it, but I know some people will. And I think it can work if you have like a lot of discipline and a lot of motivation to actually do it that way. Yeah.
You said I have 3 months of savings.
Mm-hmm.
Is that enough?
No. No, it was enough at the time.
Okay.
It was enough at the time, but it wouldn't be enough now. And if I have like 3 months of savings now, I'm kind of stressing out like, oh, it's running out. So it's a different way, but that's also because I have a house now, I have a partner, I have a studio. So all those costs were not existing then.
Is there a X amount of a number that you want to have on your account to feel safe?
I don't really have an answer for that right now because I think it differs a lot. Ideal situation for me would be like a savings amount of like €10,000. I think that would be ideal, but it doesn't mean that I have it.
Yeah, I always want to have like 10,000. And I don't touch that. And that's, I don't know, for the world is going to be set on fire or something and we need to leave. And I make sure that I have that. Otherwise, right now I'm in a financially very low period, of course, because I invested. Yeah. And it scares the hell out of me sometimes when I think about it. But I believe in it. But yeah, I do keep a buffer.
And that's also to make sure you don't have to feel the stress of having a job in another 6 months or...
No, I will still feel that stress. That's the thing. I started asking myself the question, what is a number of money that I need in my bank account to not feel that stress? And I think for me, it's not really about that money. Of course, practically it is, but it doesn't take away my anxiety about it for some reason. It's just not knowing what you're going to do. And I think that stresses me out more.
So even if you have that number on your bank account, you will not touch it?
Yeah. If I really don't have to, I won't touch it.
So what if you get sick?
Yeah, then I'm emptying my business bank accounts probably first. Yeah, of course. And if I really have to, then...
I'm asking this question because I got sick myself. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, are you extra careful for your own health?
I am.
Yeah? In what ways?
I go to the gym very often. I eat healthy. I do a lot of research on supplements and everything. And I don't take more than I need. But I do want to continue living as independent as possible. And I'm just really scared for getting sick because now we're in this age group, you know.
I know. I'm there.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that's right. But sometimes you also can't do it. Just it happens, right? It can also be an accident or something.
I come from a family that has a lot of sickness. So I have always been very, not careful, but very mindful about that it can happen to anyone. Obviously, there's like a base layer of being healthy, eating healthy, exercising. That's like normal. But then even if you do all those things, there's still no guarantee that you'll stay healthy. I take care more of that in my mind of take the opportunity now and don't take it in a few years because you don't know where you'll be in a few years. So yeah, I do take care of my health, but it can be anything. It could happen by accident.
Did it already happen that you were not able to work or you felt sick, that you need to touch that?
I always have times where I'm just not really feeling it and I need to take a bit more rest. So those are like smaller times, but then at some point you kind of have to like get to work again. But at the beginning of this year, I had a personal loss and I really couldn't work for like 3 months. And that's when the savings really came in. Yeah, they also ran out. So that's like a scary time. And I've always been able to save myself for those 7 years. But that was like the first time that I actually had to talk to my partner and like, hey, do we need to make a plan? Yeah. Still, like the thing is that once you admit, hey, I need help, and you start the conversation, then suddenly like the fear kind of dwindles down. I could see like a solution again, but I couldn't see a solution at that time because I just couldn't work and I couldn't really talk to people. And it was just really hard.
Yeah. And then there's not a safe work environment that your boss can say, no worries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And at the same time, because that's something that my partner said that I also related to, because I felt like that. Kind of, why do I need to, I can't work, and why is there no safety net? That's kind of what I fell into. But then at the same time, my partner said, like, be glad that there's like no employer saying you have to get to work after 3 weeks because you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah. The learning is over.
Yeah.
I have to go.
Exactly. Yeah. I was able to take off like 2-3-ish months because I could do that myself. And there was not a lot of money, but I could at least decide that for myself. And an employer would have said, like, you have to do this or you have to go on sick leave or whatever, which would have been like another problem in its entirety. So it's also a luxury.
Yeah. That there's no one bossing you around when to work or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I could take that time because I know that after I took that break, I worked like not even 2 times as hard. I worked like 3 times as hard to kind of make up the time that I lost. But also I really needed that time. I felt so much better. And I know for 100% sure that I wouldn't feel that good if I hadn't taken that time off. And if I would have done it like half.
But was working 3 times as hard out of refreshment or out of shit, I really need to get going?
Both. Both. Yeah.
So I always tell people, if you want to make the jump, for me, I think knowing that you have like half a year of money saved. So even if, shit hit the fan or you become ill or anything like that, you have at least 6 months of breathing room. And by now, because we're 7 years later than I started, I think with the current economy, maybe 10,000 wouldn't be enough for me anymore for 6 months with having a mortgage and stuff like that. But yeah, I think the goal, have 6 months savings. Yeah. At least for me, that's a really nice feeling. That's something I'm saving for again to have. Yeah.
You have different kind of incomes, streams. You have the courses, clients. Is that more?
Kind of 2 different kind of clients. I do murals sometimes. And I have clients who hire me as a content creator. So the creative brands who produce the paint, the brushes, the paper, they hire me to make social media content for them. So that's also a big part of my income stream. And then, my online courses and sometimes those offline courses. So clients can hire me to demonstrate their products at a art store or at an event. So that's kind of the different income streams I have right now.
So during the pandemic, I took my chance to set up an Etsy shop. This was really like a leisure project because I finally wanted to create my own miniature work. And I'm a bit of a sci-fi horror nerd. Yeah, so I make those kinds of little miniatures in bottles and dioramas in glass domes and everything. And I sell those on Etsy. And obviously in the pandemic was the best period to start a web shop. That really created a nice passive income stream for me. And I say passive because, of course, I still have to deliver work and I have to send everything. And there's a lot of time that goes into it. but I also very happily pay the commission. So paying for your time is also definitely worth it. So that's still really ongoing. I started thinking about, my future a little bit more as well. You have to do that over the years. Yeah, and I think I've also, with this building and the cultural hub, I've also set myself up in a really nice way. It doesn't make me rich at all because I'm renting for very low prices. I do think I feel quite lucky that I managed to jump into real estate, even though it's a very, very low level. I think I also started realizing that I'm maybe a bit more of an entrepreneur than an artist sometimes, and that's totally okay.
That is the golden ticket, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah. From all the jobs you're doing, what kind of work do you love the most?
Still making the miniatures and the scale models.
But for theater or
Oh, right. Ooh. Yeah, not per se for an industry.
Does it matter? Is it the work itself or also the outcome that matters?
Yeah, the outcome matters.
Okay.
Yeah. I love the social design projects the most, I would say. So my latest project I did for Stut Theater, we made a miniature flat building, and it's about informal care. And the idea is that visitors who, I think they're doing a workshop or performance with audio and everything, and they're filming the miniatures with cameras. And in the audio, you hear stories from people who either use informal care or who are informal caretakers, and all the unseen struggles about that. Of course, healthcare is going a bit down the street at the moment. So, these are all real stories from real people, and they're quite heavy sometimes. Yeah. And I think I love those projects the most because I do think that miniature is such a interesting medium to even maybe tell the most dark stories. The first thing people see, like, oh, it's so cute, it's so small, and then they see what it depicts. Yeah, I absolutely love those the most.
What different income streams do you have?
So I have quite a few. I have my original paintings. Then I have live illustration jobs, which are kind of event work, and I draw portraits. And those are only business to business. Then I have commissioned illustrations, but I rarely do any commissioned illustration, but sometimes like a bigger thing comes up, and that's an income stream. Then I have some online work, which is YouTube, a tiny bit, and I did like a sponsored segment this year for the first time, but that's also not something that's very consistent. Patreon is also online stuff. I do like online lessons every month, and that's just getting bigger over time, but it takes forever, but it does get bigger. There's like a big potential there. And then I have like prints. So reproductions of my work, but also I made a zine last year. So stuff for my online shop is all gathered there. And then I think the last one is lessons, so teaching and workshops. I think that's all of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but I didn't start with all of them at the same time.
Is there a favorite?
Original paintings, of course. Yeah. I had 3 exhibitions last year, which was a bit much. And I felt that as well, like in my energy. I noticed that like there was a lot of energy going towards exhibitions. But there was also a lot of costs with those exhibitions. So there's a lot of promotion, framing, obviously making the works. But then I also sold a few bigger ones and also some smaller paintings, and that adds up. And then during Christmas, I sold one big painting to someone that watched my videos on YouTube, which was really cool. So that it bumped up to like the biggest income stream of my income streams. Yeah.
You make videos too. You have a big YouTube channel. Is this also a big part of your business plan?
So it's part of the long-term plan. I do spend a lot of time on it because I realized a few years ago that I wanted to be less dependent on me actually being present and physically being there, because there is the case of either sickness or just not feeling well, and I wanted to just still keep earning an income besides that. So I started the YouTube channel with the idea of what if I could make being present, but not at that moment, part of my business. And Then I found out I really enjoyed editing videos, and that's luck because I didn't know. So it's part of my business plan, but really in the long term, because it's not earning me a lot right now. It's earning me like a little bit, but it's also a potential to be a lot more than an hourly income, for example. Yeah.
You're also on YouTube. Is this also part of your business plan?
I'm not making any money of it. Not at all. It started as a passion project with my partner and his sister. And I also had a lot of time back then. And as you know by now, I can't sit still. But I really started to transform the idea of having a YouTube channel just for fun. And look what we're making. And we were coming up with all kinds of ridiculous projects. And we executed quite a few of them. Towards, unfortunately, I can't do this anymore. I don't have time for it. I can't, put all this. It takes a lot of time and effort to make videos, as you know.
Yeah.
It really takes a lot more than people think.
Yeah.
I try to transform it in a way where it serves my other goals, which is, creating clarity about what it is that I do and what kind of projects I want to attract, basically. So I've tons and tons of footage. I still have to get to it. But there are some really nice videos coming together of, basically my previous projects with clients, with the social design, with the wicked problems. Also a really nice one in theater, because there's so much pretty pictures and images that came out of it. It's lovely to see. But they serve a goal. So there will be more like smaller compilations of how I manage the project. But it's really focused on this is what I do and this is how it's used in context.
Cool.
I still have to do it though.
So there are some videos you can watch.
Maybe people don't know that, but you need to have a certain amount of viewing hours and a certain amount of subscribers to be monetized by YouTube. And then you get a little bit of money from the advertising. I'm not at that point yet that I get monetized. I do have a YouTube series with a colleague of mine called The Art Supply Expedition, where we nerd out, and that is in collaboration with brands. So then they partly pay us to do that video. We also invest a lot of our own time into that. So that's the financial part that does get paid, but the rest is still volunteer work, out of passion. For you, because do you have an idea what income streams you want to dive into?
I think that's the biggest problem, because I do have a lot of ideas, but none of them will make me instant money.
Yes.
But I do feel like I should quit my job, because I need those hours to invest in all these creative ideas, to invest in a possibility to make money. I have YouTube is a big dream, but we both know that's not the fastest way to earn some money. However, I think when I do quit my job, I have more hours to fill and make videos.
That's a difficult balance.
And I think I have now so many ideas, but not that many time. Also because I'm not healthy yet for 100%. But I would love to dive into YouTube. I have a podcast idea, and I want to teach others about creative habits.
Cool.
I think the last few years, that is something that I specialized in.
Yeah.
That's where I want to focus on in the next quarter of the year. But it's all a gamble.
Yeah.
If I want to do so. Yeah.
Because that's what I always tell people, like, make sure you have several income streams, but because there can be, one that falls away.
I do still have a lot of cards and art prints. I always forget that that's my main income through many years. Because I'm doing this for so many years, I also know that this will become my
It won't earn you 10K a month.
No.
I want to fight against that struggling artist stereotype and really show that you can do it differently. But I think you can. No, it's not that you can only do it, but it does help to have those different income streams. That's why I also teach. I love teaching online courses, but if just, sitting behind my desk and drawing would make me the same amount of money, I'm not sure if I would put in that time, because that's in the end what I love most is drawing myself. So I would really want to fight against it, but at the same time, it is a difficult market. It's more difficult to earn your living as a painter than it is being a IT consultant. Yeah.
So is then saying the last year it's kind of difficult to earn some money. Does it feel like failing?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just saying that on camera is already like kind of a step for me. Like, because people also look at the numbers. They see like, oh, you have a lot of followers, or people come up to me like friends or acquaintances like, oh, you're doing really well. I see you on Instagram all the time. And like, yeah, you see me on Instagram posting, you know, my sketchbook, but that doesn't mean that I make a living. I do make a living, but yeah, it does need to grow at the moment. So it's this weird, feeling of having a lot of followers equals a lot of income, which definitely is not the case. Yeah.
No, I also get frustrated when people say, "Oh, I saw you online," and I'm like, "Well, you could like,
You could like, you could comment.
yeah, subscribe."
Yeah, people are so used to, especially also with the content with YouTube videos, you have definitely, you know, high quality videos. I can see there's a lot of time that you put into it. People don't see all that time that's behind that. And yeah, that it does take a lot of time to earn a decent living out of it. So I think it's also good that we are transparent about this and hopefully get people to see again that creativity needs to be paid just as well as the other professions. Because I think I spend more time learning how to draw and learning everything about drawing than maybe a lawyer did learning the law.
Yeah.
But then people don't want to pay me 1,000 euros per hour.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
What is your opinion of this image that the artist is a poor being and used to live off the minimal?
I think it's ridiculous, actually. I think it's a construct. And I remember when I just graduated, one of my classmates said something very fierce to me that first I took as an insult, but now I completely understand what he means. So, I don't know, we had a group chat or something and I said, oh yeah, I have this cool job and I can work there for 10 euro an hour. Oh my God, yeah, I got to do this. And my classmate said to me, Stefanie, if you do that, you're messing up the market for your colleagues. I was angry. I was like, I was also 21, so I was very young. But very soon after, I started to realize what he actually meant, and he is so right. It's a bit hard to decide where the problem really is. Is it the artist who is taking the 10 euro an hour job because there's nothing else? Or is it the sector that's not willing or able to pay more? That's an interesting question.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. But I do think there are definitely ways that especially young entrepreneurs can guard themselves for this a bit better. And that is, well, certainly knowing what's right and what's wrong and where the margins are, so to say.
But also brings me to the question, what do you think about working for exposure?
Bad idea. Bad idea.
I see the disappointment in your eyes already.
I'm really against it.
Yeah,
I'm really against it. I had a few experiences, I would say, where I was, well, and young, where I would indeed be like, oh yeah, this is good for my network. It will give me exposure. Or indeed clients saying, yeah, but you're getting great exposure.
Yeah.
But honestly, from my experience, I never really got anything out of it. And there's also a very specific reason for that. And that is because I didn't know quite sure where I was going.
So even when you had the exposure, you didn't really know if this was the right audience? Or...
Exactly, yeah, because I did not have it clear indeed who my target audience was, in what direction I wanted to develop a certain project or an object or whatever I was making. So I could also not take the necessary steps for that. And I think that's really key.
Do you ever doubt the decision to do this full time?
Yes, but at the same time, I couldn't see myself doing anything differently. So there are obviously like ups and downs, and the downs are very down and the ups are very up. So it's, I don't know, I think there's like at least once a year that I think, oh, should I get a job? And then I actually go look for job vacancies and what they pay, and I get a little bit depressed. Like, I know working for a employer is not necessarily easy, but it seems so easy when I see like the job descriptions, and I'm thinking of all the stuff that I personally do, and that you have to work so hard for. But I look at them and then I talk to either my partner, my mom, or my friends, and I always get to the conclusion like, no, I'm gonna push through again, and I'm not one for manifesting or whatever. I don't believe in it for like at all. But somehow when you feel good, like good things happen, and that's usually what comes after.
So would be a tip, be less insecure about it and just go for it?
I think yes, but also be realistic about it, because if you think that and you're not acting on it, it's not going to happen. You have to really do the things. It's like little seeds planting, and then at some point they will come up. And since I've been doing this for like 7 years now, it's not like I have to start from like zero. So there's like all these different seeds planted already. And sometimes another one comes up that I completely forgot about.
Did you ever doubt the decision to make art for a living?
Once I made a jump, I didn't anymore because everything in me felt this is the right step to take. Over the last year, to be totally transparent, it has been more challenging financially. The market is changing. We definitely have a more difficult economy. Creativity isn't on people's top of mind anymore. Instagram algorithm is definitely changing, so it's harder to get the same exposure or, the same marketing value. Story views are down. There are definitely more online courses. A lot of people now offer online drawing courses, so there's a lot more competition. So that all in all, makes that right now I'm thinking kind of, should I take on a freelance communication job again to the side to have that stable income stream next to the other ones who are a little less stable? It's the current moment. Maybe ask me in a few months and then I'm totally fine again. But that's still definitely something to keep in mind. Creativity and not having financial security is definitely not a good mix, because creativity needs that free time to play. And that's the first thing for me that goes out of the door when I'm thinking, I really need to earn money. I need to pay my bills this month. So, yeah.
Did you ever doubt your decision to work as an artist?
Every day.
Really?
Yeah, every day. It's such an insecure job, I think. And I have to say, this started fading away since maybe the last 2 years-ish, maybe last 3. I really started feeling it once I approached 30, realizing it's not so easy to go back to school anymore. I realized it during the pandemic. At some point, I was so sick of going through what am I supposed to do? How do I get myself like a steady stream of projects incoming?
But is that more like overworked?
I don't know.
Freeze?
Maybe my character also a little bit. Yeah, I feel
Like when you're overwhelmed or...
No, I don't think I necessarily have to be overwhelmed to be anxious about some things. I guess it's just some realization you have sometimes, like, oh my God, I don't have a project in 6 months. What do I do? And yeah, somehow it always ends up quite all right. But
But you still have not the confidence to know it will be over.
Yeah,
okay.
Back then I really didn't. No.
And now?
Yeah, I think the last 2-3 years, I really started working on my network, and I had some wonderful collaborations that I really look back onto with a lot of joy and love. There were also very well-paying clients, so I feel like I'm taking serious. Once that I have more and more of these projects in my portfolio, I have more to show for. And that's also what I mean with a bit of my character, because I always feel like I have to work up to what I'm worth or something, It's... Yeah, maybe other people have that a bit less, but I think that's my little devil.
I also asked you, my community, if you had any questions for these full-time makers. If you missed that and you would like to help think along and contribute to my videos in the future, don't forget to click the bell button so you will be kept up to date with everything happening on this channel. One of the questions submitted was, do you always have enough inspiration to do this full-time? And are you ever afraid it will run out?
I am out of inspiration, or I am just out of the lack of motivation to paint when I don't feel good. So if I don't feel good, I don't paint. But if I feel fine, then there's inspiration anywhere. So I'm not afraid that I ever run out. It's just going to change over time and over the course of my life as well.
That's interesting. You say, when I run out, then it's more implying that you do not feel good
Mm-hmm.
and you should work on your health or your mental health or just take care of yourself
Yeah.
instead of your business.
When there's like small times of not feeling great for like maybe a few weeks or a week, I don't know, then I kind of use that time to focus on my business, because it's like dumb work. It's not that much brain activity for me. Whereas the painting is like really intense work. It also gives a lot of energy, but it also costs a lot of energy. I'm just not up to that when I'm not feeling good. So I kind of try to go in a different direction, maybe work on my website or send emails, stuff like that. That's stuff that I can do anytime. But the art is something that I can really do only when I'm rested, when I'm feeling like it.
I am someone who loves change. So if people ask my favorite material, like there's always phases. Like I'm now into a gouache phase, and then next month it might be markers, and then it will be colored pencils again. So I think that also helps for me to every time have that new inspiration. I think there's still so much to learn and so many skills I can develop that I'm never bored. Like every time, I think maybe that's my biggest drive. People always say, "Oh, you're so talented," and I'm like, "No, it's hard work." And I think maybe that's my best quality. Like I'm so eager to learn and so disciplined to keep on drawing every day. So yeah, like I said, I'm never bored. There's always new stuff to learn.
I have such a weird wired brain, and I'm so easily like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, this Instagram video. Yeah, that's so cool. I feel like I have to make something, or a show that I'm seeing, or a movie that I'm seeing, and I want to like rebuild a scene or whatever, or I want to rebuild memories from the 90s or whatever. It's especially with the amount of content coming our way these days, I find it very hard to imagine myself not being inspired by anything, to be honest. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time, I think. Yeah, but I love it.
Too less time, too much
Yeah,
experience.
for sure.
And someone wanted to know, do you really need to be the best of the best in your field to make a living?
No, I don't think so, because I think that's a big trap that people tell themselves. I started when I definitely wasn't a good illustrator yet. I hesitated to call myself an illustrator for years because I was like, not good enough. I didn't went to art school. But for every level, there's also an audience. I have online courses about how to draw people. I have beginner courses, and I have more intermediate courses. And when I look at the beginner course right now, I'm also thinking like, I wasn't the best at drawing portraits yet. But that really helps someone who wants to learn how to draw, because if they need to learn how to draw a portrait from Vermeer, the level is so high and people, get scared. Like, I'm not that good. I will never be that good. But when it's a more, beginner level, it's more relatable for people. So no, you definitely don't need to be the best, because then you're striving for perfection. That will never happen. If you want to start for yourself, don't fall in that trap. You already know, but yeah, for other people watching this video, just go for it, because you will learn doing, and you need to make the mistakes to become better.
Yeah, I would say yes and no. I think the yes has more to do with safety and durability, especially if you're working with machines. I do think you need, the learning curve is quite high. I think as long as you're able to, which most artists are, if you're able to translate from what's in your head to what comes out of your hands, it doesn't really matter if you're a miniature scale builder that has the level of somebody who makes like the realistic terrain stuff or whatever, or if it's someone that just makes something out of cardboard or whatever.
There are very bad artists, honestly, making a living out of art, but then there's like a specific niche that they just are really good at, or they're really good at marketing, which is maybe even more important than the art itself. However, I think there definitely needs to be a base layer of understanding art. And it definitely gets easier if you are better at art, but it doesn't mean that if you're really good at art that you're earning a living from it. Yeah.
I think this question is also comes out of insecurity, out of knowing maybe it's a question of insecurity. We could say, just go for it and see what happens.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the insecurity part is also a good point, because most of the best artists that I know are very insecure, and they wouldn't call their work good, even though it's better than most people's art. and those would question if it's good enough. But then the worst artists, honestly, are the most confident ones, and they're like, this is my work, and they make a good living out of it. So it's, yeah, there's no link between confidence and making good art, honestly.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe confidence and making money.
Definitely. Oh yeah, those are very linked. Yeah.
After these conversations, a lot have become clear to me. The right moment to jump in is passionate and, if you are a wise person, well prepared. There are many ways to earn a living. There are many different types of clients, many different ways to sell your art, many ways to teach. So there are a lot of different income streams. And it's important to already have multiple. It's also crucial to know for yourself which direction you want to go in, which project you should say yes to, but mostly which one you should say no to. I think I could manage that part, but I've also heard plenty of reasons not to make the leap right now. Like, I don't have 10k in my bank account or 6 months of savings, the market is bad, the cost of living are high. But if I ask you, would you ever go for a regular salary job? They all say,
No.
So is living as a full-time artist worth it?
Yes, absolutely.
So what do you think? Should I take the leap? I'm super curious about your ideas, so feel free to shower me with your experiences and your advice. I read everything. Of course, I have to give a huge thank you for my 3 makers. I'm so proud I got to talk with them. Their work is fantastic and I've learned so much from them. All their info is in the description of this video, so you can check out their work and definitely watch their videos also. And a big thank you to everyone who donated, especially Agu, who donated 99 euros. That's insane. It's also the same amount I made from YouTube in the last year. It's money I can really use because, just like Roxy, I would love to work towards an exhibition. That also means making some investments in time, in materials, and donation helps me so much in making that dream and making videos possible. And in return, you'll get to see more videos about the whole process. Like in this video, where I made my first few art pieces for my future exhibition, where I research if art really heals. Check it out, and I will see you there.